All right, good afternoon. Welcome back here to Trader Minute. Great to have you aboard. Market vibe here today is actually ticked down a point. It's still neutral. Ticking down a point is meaningless and doesn't say anything about the market environment changing. In fact, it says, look, this is the environment. This environment's likely here to stay for a little while, just as we have seen. So it's been neutral, and that is just this market. It's just this slog here. Not a lot of gapping, not a lot of big moves throughout the day. Day trader's nightmare. If you're day trading SPY, you just don't get much move there associated with it. There are some individual stocks that get news each day that have some day trade elements to them, like a Google here today. But in general, it's a pretty just kind of sluggish environment. And one that the market is still digesting earnings here, and trying to kind of say, hey, you know what? Are these earnings good enough? Are they bad enough? Where do we go from here? And if you go and you check out, you see me come to this a lot, but FactSet and the FactSet Earnings Insight, and they publish it every Friday. And let's see here. This one is not the most recent. Let's see where the most recent is. Here we go. Here we are with the most recent. You can see that 46% of companies have reported, right? So we're about 50% halfway through here with it. The earnings, the actual earnings here are 5.3% above estimates, which is above the 5-year average. In terms of sales, the percentage of companies, 59% reporting actual sales above estimates is equal to the average. In aggregate, companies are reporting sales that are 0.3% above estimates, which is below the 5-year average. So basically, what are they saying? They're saying we're looking at an earnings decline this quarter, but the beats have been slightly better than expected. The blended revenue growth rate for the quarter is 5.1%. Remember, after the first week when we had 20% of the companies reported, it was 5%. So not a lot of change there, right? It's one of those where, we've seen what the aggregate data is going to look like. Now it's just a matter of, some of the individual stocks and how they ultimately play out here. But, the market understands what the earnings data is for the quarter. It's in. And it's one of those where it provides maybe a few more questions than answers, but not in a very kind of dramatic, bearish type of manner here with it. Okay. Now, here we are, 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock Eastern. So challenge. No new triggers here today. 0 new triggers. This afternoon, we did have GM bullish here this morning. Went and got into that in 2 of the test baskets. The ones that excludes earnings plays did not get in. And so in that, running with that, stock exit level is 39.37. Let's see where GM is. It's at 40.10. So nowhere close to having to do anything there with that. Obviously, we will get earnings in the morning, and that'll have a lot to say about things here with GM. So going to run with that. Also, couple announcements. Announcement number 1: this challenge test end date May 24. Going to cut the test end date, shorten it quite a bit. We'll announce the dates here soon, but we'll cut the challenge. I've learned everything I need to know from the challenge. I've seen everything I need to know from the test. And part of the test was to, create a learning environment, a training environment for how this is going to work, see some of the questions that come in, be able to respond to those, be able to kind of put together a piece so that everybody understands, hey, what's going on here with it. But, ultimate goal, get out there and live trade. And so we'll be doing that here sooner than May 24th. I am hoping by early next week, but we'll have an exact date for you here this week. So that's announcement number 1. Announcement number 2, during the month of May, going to be doing a training segment. We're going to take a look at 30 technical indicators during the month of May. And we're going to take a look at a lot of the ones that stock charts have, some other ones that stock charts doesn't have. We'll be looking at different overlays, but the month of May will be all about technical indicators and different technical indicators and how they're used and how they're how they set up and what they're showing and how they can be applied to option trading. So each day, we're going to do 30 indicators during the month, which means some days we'll have to do 2 indicators because the market's not open 30 days during a month. So some days we'll be doing 2 indicators, and going with that through the month of August. I will also keep track of all those video recordings in a similar fashion to the way they're tracked on this spreadsheet. We'll track them on another spreadsheet that will offer the link. They'll be in the video library as well, but that way you can easily access it, easily see it, and go from there. If there's an indicator that you would like to see talked about during that time period, feel free to shoot it over to support@traderminute.com. Michelle will sort some of those out. Let me know. But overall, it's one we're going to do a little bit with some abnormal indicators, some less than common indicators, like Ishimoku clouds and things like that. But most of it's going to be with dealing with things like average true range or something like the accumulation distribution. We'll go take a look at the Kopit curve. We'll talk about the CCI, one of my favorites, the force index, which is a really nice one, the MACD. We'll talk about stochastics and the rate of change. And a lot of these you've heard me talk about over the years, right? And some of them will be new. Some of those you probably haven't heard me talk about very much, like Pring's Special K. We'll get into that one. Actually, we'll get into the no short thing, and we'll briefly mention the Special K, but so those are a few of them that are on this list. Most of the ones we will go and look at, or not all of the ones we'll go and look at are on this list, and we'll do that here during the month of May. So looking forward to kicking that off. So those are the 2 announcements, 2 things going on here with that, and we'll get off and rolling here with it. You're going to also see a little bit of change to the watch list when the challenge goes live. There'll also be a small change to the ATR method, and we'll talk about those as the challenge goes live. Like I've mentioned before, real-time alerts will go out. They haven't gone out during the test, but when I go and make the trades live, they will go out via text, tweet, and email, just like they always have. Okay. All right. So those are some of the things that are coming up here. Now, after the bell today, earnings season's going to continue. And, if we come in here to the calendar, big name on the list is Google. Right? That's the big name on the list. Western Digital to a lesser degree, MGM to a lesser degree, but all eyes on Google. This market has been as has gone tech, so has gone the markets. And, Google has a lot to live up to, right? Now, we're also going to get tonight some manufacturing data out of China, which we have seen Chinese manufacturing data start to uptick a little bit, start to come out of this contraction phase that it's been in. So that's going to be a big piece of data here tomorrow for the markets to digest. And then we're going to get some of the end-of-month data here tomorrow. We're going to get some GDP data out of Europe and some other numbers here in the U.S. like the Case-Shiller. And then, earnings. Earnings are going to be fast and furious. We'll have General Electric in the morning. We'll have MasterCard in the morning. General Motors in the morning. ConocoPhillips in the morning. We're going to have, just a whole slew of different stocks here reporting. And then the big headline will be Apple after the bell here today, or after the bell tomorrow, that the market will be, kind of keying in on there with it. I don't think that as goes Apple, so will go the market. I don't think that's how the market's going to react there to it. but it is one that will definitely affect sentiments and some of the rotations that we see out there in the marketplace, over the next while. Right? And their report always speaks volumes for a lot of other stocks that are in the market, and I don't expect it to be anything different here this time. And then as the week progresses, as the week unfolds, it's going to be about a lot of economic data, right? The earnings season, we know what the final earnings numbers are going to look like. They're going to be pretty close to what they are right now. Right? Statistically speaking, we're just not going to see a lot of variance. We never do from this point. So it's going to be about individual names. But from a broader market standpoint, we're going to be talking about a lot of data this week. One of the big things this week is another Fed meeting here on Wednesday. We have the manufacturing data out of China tonight. We'll get another round of manufacturing data on Wednesday night, so just a little bit different. But we'll get a lot of data in the U.S. tomorrow. We'll have the ADP employment report on Wednesday, along with the normal first of the month economic data, the PMI manufacturing, the ISM manufacturing, and then we'll have the jobs report on Friday. So a lot of data jam-packed here this week, and some of the most recent, some of the most pertinent economic data out there, and plenty for the markets to react to. Will the markets react to it? Well, we'll have to see. But it will be very easy to spot, if the market's reacting, if the market is, really paying close attention. I would not be surprised to see the FOMC sound a little more hawkish than what they have. We did hear a couple Fed members last week allude to the market and how the market's interpreting the Fed, and basically saying, the market's the market may be a little more dovish than what the Fed is. So very interested to see how, the market reacts here to the Fed. I don't think it's any coincidence that we see the bank stocks up Friday and today, given what we've heard from a couple of those Fed governors over the last couple of days, and kind of talking a little bit more hawkish. We'll see if that continues here during the FOMC meeting here on Wednesday. All right. So anyway, those are the couple announcements, couple things kind of going on in the market. One stock I want to leave you with here before I jump off, and that's Alcoa. This is a stock, we heard their earnings, we saw their earnings, it was ugly. There was nothing to get excited about with the earnings report for the bulls. It was an ugly report. And then the next day, stock rallied. And here over the last 4 days, the stock has dribbled back on down. We're dealing with a stock that has retested this low here several times, has reacted well off of it, has bounced off of it, but it's now hitting it off of lower highs. Doesn't mean it's going to break tomorrow or this moment, but chances are there's a breakdown coming, and chances are it's a $4 breakdown. Puts this stock at about 23. As far as the value of the company, of the shares of the company here. And there's always this fear with Alcoa investors that or Alcoa shorts that maybe this gets bought back up or something of that nature. But this is one that has some very heavy technical breakdown signals starting to come into play, and we already have seen the earnings. Now we will see Arconic earnings tomorrow, ARNC. Let's see if I can get that right. There we go. We will have Arconic earnings here tomorrow, and that'll be obviously interesting. There is some buyout talk when it comes to Arconic, and one that I don't think actually happens, but does exist there. You could see the stock price, and this is actually Alcoa's stock price. And Alcoa and Arconic split a few years back, but anyway, that one, if you're looking for something for a bearish breakdown, that one is Arconic is one that is just set up very well. And if you're looking at bullish breakouts, they don't get much cleaner than what we see with the IWM. 157, a pretty good stop area. So if you want to play, market higher or small caps higher, the setup is on. The setup is on. It's a very kind of clean break and nice holding up here today. There's always going to be whipsaw risk, right? There's always, hey, we get a clean breakout. Does it whipsaw down? Yeah, it could, right? But most of them, they actually continue on higher, and I would not be surprised if we see that here from small caps as the week unfolds. Thanks for hopping on. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and we'll talk to you later. Take care.